Hi, I'm Alison Beckles, and you are listening to Best Fails, the podcast where we share our stories of failure, explore their impact, and reflect on what we've learned. Now, today's guest is John Yarde, who made a career decision that had significant, unexpected results. Let's get into it. Welcome to Best Fails. John, it is very good to have you on. And
So
for
good to be
all
here.
those good, I am so pleased. So m- many people might know you as John the pastor, John the singer, John the artist, John the so many different things. But I am going to read for people a little bit about you so that people who don't know who you are, they have just a bit of a taste of who John is. But then we can delve into it a little bit more. So, Reverend John, an esteemed pastor with almost a decade of experience, is a transformative leader and dedicated counselor for 4 years. He passionately fosters interpersonal relations, striving to build a community of individuals who positively impact their surroundings. As the pastor of Hope Church Barbados, John connects people to their destinies and to each other. Currently pursuing a master's degree in counseling psychology with an emphasis in trauma crisis management at the Caribbean Nazarene College, John is committed to enhancing his skills for the betterment of his community. In his spare time, he finds joy in reading, paddle boarding, making music, and showcasing his culinary prowess in smoking beef brisket and pork ribs, among other delays. John, we want some samples.
Next
John's
holiday.
person- John's personal life is anchored in his marriage to Dr. Viberta, and together they share the joy of raising their son Malachi. This is John Yarde. Well, just a snippet of who John Yarde is. John, as I was reading this, the thing that stood out so much to me is just the whole you spoke about community so often in here. Tell me a little bit about growing up in community and what that was like for you.
Sure. Well, Alison, thank you so much for having me. I'm really
Yes,
excited to be here. It's good to see you.
you too.
And I promise you, in this public space,
Yes.
next time your husband are home, you guys can come over with my family and we'll do some barbecue.
For sure, yes, so that I can have that
It's
brisket.
on record. It's on record. I grew up in a nuclear family. My mom and my dad, my brother. My brother's a year and a half younger than I am, so we were very
Hmm.
close. Yep. We spent a lot of time together as a family. And my brother and I, we loved cricket. And so we would play cricket in our driveway. My dad would play cricket with us. We went to church together. We did a lot of things as a family together. And then I went off to the LSD secondary school. And there was an entire group of us that would walk to school and would walk back home. It
Hmm.
was in cricket at school. So that's a team sport. So we had our own camaraderie there. So I had a really good sense of it. Church also was like another community where I was a part of the youth group. I was a part of the youth band and the church band. I was a part of just about everything as a pastor's kid, really. But for me, I would say things really began to kick off as a teenager when I integrated into the youth camps. We had several youth camps, so a lot of my early development, I was accustomed to people. My father and my mother, they embraced people. My mom owned a salon, so part of life was being there with her and seeing how she interacted with people. As a pastor, my father would pick up people from church, drop them home. He would drive the church bus. So I saw a lot of it. But for me, it started personally when I went to teens camp, I think 2004. I developed my own community and one that I chose. There are many people there who actually friends that are still here today. K1 Marshall, Raphael and Chanel Saul, Dario Richard, Naldo Seal, Marcus King,
Yes.
Yo King. So people who have journeyed with me throughout life, Rochelle,
Yeah. Mm.
persons who have journeyed with me through life. Actually, there's where I met Imran and your brother Anderson as well, and Goring. Um, and so persons who I interacted with in 2004, 20 years later, we're still very good friends. So community for me really took on a personal note where I felt like I got to build my own 14 years old, in Queens College at a youth camp. Treasures for Life is what it was called.
Uh,
And my life just continued to journey through seeing the value of people, seeing the value of relationships, seeing the transformation that comes out of groups, like how we hold each other accountable, how we inspire each other to thrive. Like I can say that so much of my life is a result of being around the right people.
like when you think about failure within the context of the communities that you've been involved in, how did people react to failure, respond to failure, whether or not it was their own failure or the failure of others?
So I am fortunate to have had a real I have really good friends. So they have watched my highs, my lows,
Mm.
whether it be relationships, whether it be jobs, whether it be personal endeavors, whether it be music. They've seen me go through a lot of things, and I've seen them go through a lot of things. And they're the ones who ask the right questions. And I appreciate the timing of how they engage, but they're the ones who ask the right questions to help me keep my perspective right. But they're also the ones who come and sit and just cry with me. But they're the ones who, when I am sitting in that pity party too long, they're like, big man, what you doing? You want me to slap you across your head? Let's go. They're
Yeah.
the ones who sit with me at my dining room table and help me strategize how we're going to get out of this. They're the ones sometimes who crash or burn with me.
Yes.
Like what I've appreciated is that each presentation of my life, whether it's success, whether it's failure, whether it's that place where I feel stuck, I know that I'm not alone. And again, that has only been transformative in my life. And again, likewise for them, because we've walked through death, we've walked through persons being fired, we've walked through business failing. So I've seen it. I've seen it. We've walked through so many different things within the community, and just the power of not being alone brings so much hope.
I've got a game for us to
Let's
play.
do it. Somebody, man, I was working before, or if we got games to play.
A
Yeah,
game of cards.
let's go.
So,
Ready, so
what
ready.
I'm going to do is choose cards for us, and we each are going to
Okay.
answer these questions. My most unexpected friendship. A girlfriend of mine called Chanel. She and I have become so very close. We met one another working when she came to work at Jabez House. And this was like maybe 2017, 2018. But when I tell you, she and I are such good friends, John, and a lot of that friendship was built while it was in the Isle of Man. It was not built in Barbados, it was built in the Isle of Man. That's my most unexpected friendship.
I am searching my mind. I'd say this is a friend
Uh,
who we parted ways and came back. There's a guy, Mark King. The same 2004 camp. We were very good friends. I dated a lady
uh,
who the relationship did not end well. The two of them, they were very close friends at that time, and they actually dated and got married. And to this day, like, I remember once saying to him, "Thank you so much for not being like others and just throwing me away or judging me." And our friendship rekindled, and to this day, we're best buds. It's
oh,
it's an amazing story of forgiveness, of God's grace, of yeah. So that is a friendship we really cherish. I honestly did not think it was going to come back.
to happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Next one, the trip that changed my life.
Hmm. There are a few.
Tell me. What I
Well,
think.
there are a few of them, but the one that I think I don't remember the year, but it was the first year we went to Kansas City.
That I was on that trip, or that
You were
was
there.
before.
You were there. You
So
were
that
there.
was 2009 then.
Yeah, that
2000.
trip definitely is the game changer for me. It just put me on the trajectory of so many things that I'm doing now. I think one other trip may be Haiti.
Mm?
Um, the first year we went to Haiti as a group from Barbados. I don't remember the year, but that was also another transformational year for me.
Yeah.
a transmission.
Definitely, a hot for sure was definitely is definitely up there for me. And I would say maybe the first cruise that I did while it was here in the Isle of Man. I think it went France. That first one went to two places in France and two places in Spain. But the thing that was really just really phenomenal for me was just the whole idea of I'm traveling along the Atlantic on a cruise liner, which is luxury. And the thought that was in my head was, shoot, my ancestors somewhere along the Atlantic as well. And that hit me so it made me so thankful. So like I had so much gratitude in my heart, John. So much gratitude in my heart. Good. So we have finished our game. And
I was
now
class.
we're moving into the real reason why you are here, John, to talk about your failure. This is where I give over to you to tell us about this best fails that you have experienced.
And so I'm excited to talk about this. I was telling a friend of mine recently, there are sides of the story that I have not told many people.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. So I am a musician, an artist here in Barbados, a gospel artist. I have built something really strong in our country. You know some of the music. Well, you know a lot of the music.
I know all of your music, John.
I have spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy building something that has done extremely well in the country, extremely well in the region, does extremely well in different parts of the world. And it's really exciting. I've seen the fruit of the sacrifice. Actually, that a part of the life-changing nature of the trip in Kansas City
Yeah.
was that it is there that I really felt propelled into. A lady shared something with me that radically changed my life, and I never looked back. And at that time, I did not have the intentions of doing anything in music. It was just something fun. It wasn't something that I imagined being a lifelong journey, career, and ministry, anything. And so I've had the chance to produce about 3 full-length albums, to produce so much music for others, to raise up and develop other artists, to win awards. There's an engineer I was working with, and unbeknownst to us, he submitted one of these songs to be considered for Grammy nomination, and it made it through the first round. We were not successful of getting much further,
But
but
still,
telling you, no, I tell you, the things I have not said, you can get them. I think these things get to help to paint the picture. So I remember being in Trinidad as a student, and I was broke. I spent all of the money my parents gave me. Yeah, a little girlfriend in Trinidad, and I spent all of
uh-huh.
it. And I was sitting on trying to figure out, how do I get things I need, food now,
Yeah.
without calling home for money. And I connected with a studio, and they brought me in, and I would leave school and I would go down to Trinidad, and I would sit down and write songs with the producer. And that's how I was able to make it through the rest of the semester. And that just turned into me really discovering, hold on a second, I can write songs, but I can make money for writing songs. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I have performed on some of the biggest stages in the region. So in Trinidad, I remember, and it was almost by mistake. There was a guy called Mali Music who was supposed to come to a show in Tobago, and he
I
didn't.
was there.
You were in Tobago
I
for that?
I was in Tobago for that. Me and Alison Holder were in Tobago for that. Yes.
Wow, I didn't remember that.
Yes.
But I remember being there and receiving the phone call the day before saying, John, yo, the guy is not going to make it, but I have just made a pitch for you to be one of the artists. He said,
Mm-hmm.
your tracks. I was like, no. So then he got done. Then call from a guy, Russell Leonce,
Uh-huh.
and Russell was like, yo, John, so you are on this show and you are the act that is going to be taking the guy's spot. So I need you to, I'm coming for you right now. I was like, hold on a second. We were just asking for tracks to be one of the artists. Now you're telling me that
I
this is
am the
crazy.
artist.
I was studying then. So it
Yeah.
opened up Trinidad to me. I was on every show. I was in every church. I was everywhere doing what I was doing. And people in Barbados were catching wind of that. So when I came home, it was like, John is home. So I was doing that every major show within the gospel community I did. I had the opportunity to be a part of stages that were not commonly known to have gospel acts, but because the music was doing so well, and there were persons of every walk of life that loved it, I was invited to participate on several stages. Mahalia's Corner being one of them. There was the love, jazz, and poetry. There was so
Yeah.
many things. I've worked with a lot of the persons in Barbados who are the best of the best, whether and within the region, whether performing, lending my voice, lending my pen. I've had the chance over the years to write along with the J. Thomases, the Alethea Sweetings, the Mark Isaacs, the Sam, all of the guys that we can think about within our immediate context within the
Yeah.
Caribbean. I've worked with them, whether tweaking stuff.
Yeah.
We've had an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I'll said all that to kind of build a idea as to how much I've done and been a part of within the music space. 2020, I left the Church of the Nazarene, no conflict, to spending 5 years at Jackson. I just really felt like it was a move, and I was actually going to go to either my father's church or my wife's church to help there.
Mm-hmm.
Long before I decided to move, or where I decided to move to, we were already aware that this was our last year at Jackson. And I received the email from the church I was at. I'm at now. When I received that email inviting me to apply for the interview process, I was like, okay, well, we might as well. Right, we've already been praying about transition. We're not sure where, and this comes in that timing. So let's see where it goes. I was successful. And while there, I received in my prayer time, in my reflection time, what I believe to be some instructions to proclaim prepare the way of the Lord, right? There's a scripture in Isaiah that he talks about creating a highway in the desert for the Lord, and being a voice of one calling from the desert. And when I think about deserts, the deserts are dead. There's nothing. There's nothing alive in the desert.
Barren.
It's barren. No one is there. No one wants to go. But the Lord says to prepare the way of the Lord from this place, not from the synagogue, not amongst the saints, but not in the temple, but in the wilderness. And I took that to the church, and we created language where we are voices of hope, models of Jesus' love, and agents of change. And for the last 4 years, that's what I've been teaching and championing. Every single series, sermon surrounds this core, which is to prepare the way of the Lord for us as believers. But what I did not anticipate, and a lot of it also was built on the idea of what we refer to as the 7 spheres of society of influence. Government, family, economy, religion, culture, and arts and entertainment. And entertainment and media, that's it. And so I was encouraging my community. You've been strategically placed. Your education, your life experiences, your passions and your desires, the Lord has given them to you and deployed you into different spaces. Go and marry men, go and plant fields, go build houses, Jeremiah 29, go occupy space, and as you go make disciples, leverage your influence, your giftings, your talents, your resources in the world with excellence and also with the truth of the gospel. I was teaching this, and then one day I was like, John, that's you too. You have to do it as well. And so I sat down and I thought, okay, well, I have been doing this, but then I remembered, because again, up until then, I had been doing, Digicel brought me on as the first gospel artist, as an influencer. They had me every Sunday doing devotions. Well, actually, they asked me to preach every Sunday, on their platform. And I said, wow, I talk about Jesus, right? Like, I'm not doing inspiration. And they said, what? So I felt like my platform was of such where I was already in those spaces. But then I began to think about, the impact that when I was in the church spaces, which is great, and I love it. I still love it very much with all my heart. But when I think about where I get to rub shoulders, interact with people who are not from the faith community. So in thinking about what does this look like for me, because I can't stand up in my pulpit in front of people every Sunday morning telling them do this. And there's a area where I am excellent, skilled, and gifted, and not extended that way. Like, what is my marketplace as an artist, as an entertainer, as a cultural practitioner? So in thinking about that, I discovered, or I was reminded of what is the biggest platform in our country, the Pickety Crop.
Yes.
So I know, I'll be honest, it had always been a fascination of mine, the cultural discourse that comes out of it, just the narrative, the conversations that come off of the Pickety, of social commentary, I should say.
Yes.
And while I may not be a fan of the festival because of obvious reasons,
Yes.
there was something about the Pickety Crop stage that I've always felt that this is culture. This is
Yes.
the only cultural thing, in my opinion, about it. And I remember thinking, why aren't more believers doing this? I had a friend, well, not had, I have a friend, Kevin Campbell. He took me once, and ever since then, I fell in love with it. And I told him one day I'm going to do this. But I never thought I would because, in my mind, back then, Christians don't do that. Coming around to the end of 2020, I decided I want to do this. I'm going to do this, and I want to do this to pay tribute to, yes, COVID happened. I want to
Yeah.
pay it to my mother, but to all the lives we've lost in COVID.
Yeah.
So I wrote a song called I Will Remember You, and
Mm-hmm.
and I came seventh.
Mm-hmm.
I felt really proud about that
Yes.
because I never sang a calypso in my
What's
life.
up? Yeah.
I'll make it to the finals,
That's it. I was gonna say you make it to the finals. Come
and then I
on.
come to the top 10. What I was not prepared for was what I did not include also was that um, music, though not my mainstream of not my career. I've never treated it as a career. At best, it was another stream of income, but it was a very lucrative stream. It brought a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
My family has been blessed because of it. I've never
Yeah.
taken a loan to produce or to put on anything, and the music pays for itself.
Yeah.
So I remember when I entered the competition, start. When I entered the competition, I began to hear the community that I had served for such a long time say some things that were not nice. I remember I stopped being booked. I thought it was maybe just COVID, but then I
Yeah.
began to hear what people were saying because it's still COVID. I began to hear what people were saying about me, but I thought it was just maybe a few, one or two. I knew that it would have been not well received, but I did not anticipate what was coming.
Right.
So what eventually began to happen as time progressed and more people found out, persons became very vocal. It was in the newspaper. Pastor John makes switch from gospel to calypso. So,
Oh.
so the perspective was put out there that I have somehow abandoned or walked away from to do this. And and it was, oh, that sucked. That was bad. When I read the comments under the page, it was bad. It was really, really bad. I actually started to feel very depressed by it. I felt like the things people were saying, like, one, fine, you don't know me, but then I started to see people who knew me, and people who were saying things like they always knew that he would. So that hurt. That really, really hurt, and it sent me into a dark place. It really, really
Mm-hmm.
did. What brought me a reassurance is that one, I had a word, I had a conviction, but I got emotions and feelings.
Of course.
So I
Of course.
felt it. What was also helpful is that I had the blessing of my father,
Mm-hmm.
to John Yarde, the blessing of the president from my college,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Dr. Schofield Eversley,
Mm-hmm.
uh, someone else. And from my, he was at the time, I considered my pastor, Orlando Seal, or well, he was my
Mm-hmm.
pastor, Orlando
Yeah.
Seal. So I had their blessing. And so I felt confident, regardless of what people were saying, I was, you know what, this is what happens.
Yeah.
So 2020 came to an end, 2021 came around, and the country opens up.
Mm-hmm.
Events start to happen again, and John Yard is not being called.
Mm.
I noticed people get a bit louder about the things that they say and do. And then the festival comes around again, the crop over time. I already have intentions of being involved. Because again, I believe that I'm on assignment. I believe that the responsibility, I really want to talk through this part because this part is the really low part that I still sit down and think about.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
me when I make decisions to do stuff. So 2021, I sing a song called The Gospel According to John. I made the assumption that people could reason that the gospel according to John is the Beijing saying, well, that's the gospel truth. And that my name is John, and I'm
So
making a prayer.
you playing, but this is what Calypso is about. Come on.
So if 2022 was bad, 2023 was worse because
Wow.
a lot of people, much to my surprise, they did not get past the line.
Gospel according to John. Mm-hmm.
They were like, when they saw it, they thought, oh, he's singing the gospel. Wait, what? That's not the gospel according to John. So that year, I went into the competition. I came fifth.
Nice, John.
But after that, people got louder and bolder with the things that they said. If in a month I could do 5 to 7 events, that disappeared entirely. And so
Wow.
5 to 7 events in a month, if you consider that in value, right?
Yes.
It meant that my personal economy was compromised in a significant way. And I went back. Yes, the competition does have its benefits, a financial benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the line to actually what never happened was that the space of being involved in national events, that
Yeah.
never,
Right.
they always asked me, and I suspect even more now, have always asked me to come and sing and to do my music. And I often think, are you sure? Because my music is Jesus music. If I'm coming, I'm singing my songs, and this is what my
Yes.
songs are.
Or both. Yeah.
And so you're like, yeah, we want you, we want you to do that. But the church stopped. The community of faith, they got very loud. They expressed their disappointment, their frustration,
Mm-hmm.
their anger. I came fifth year, and I remember it when it was finished. I remember sitting down thinking to myself, "What have you done?"
Mm.
I remember thinking, John, what
Yeah.
everything you built seems to be crashing. Or
Mm-hmm.
not everything you built is crashing.
Crushing. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
reputation in the space that you took so long to establish has diminished significantly.
Mm-hmm.
At the point where I remember I did a Mother's Day show before the festival. I felt the tension in the room when I sang the song I Will Remember You. And one of my friends said to me after, he said, boy, John, boy, I don't know what you do these people. It's like he didn't make the correlation. But he
Right.
was like, he said persons around him was like, I don't want to hear that from him. He's a sellout. I don't want to hear he gone and gone and do this thing and da 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 da. And when he said that to me, I felt it. I felt the weight of it. What I forgot to mention, we had a successful 2023 because I launched an album that year.
Yes.
No, and people really enjoyed it.
My mother
And
went. She had a good time.
it,
Yes, John.
right, see, I'm talking. But it was a success. I remember wondering later on in the year, was it a success because people wanted something to do, or did people still believe in me and what I did?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure anymore. And that's into a really, really low place.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only has it impacted my personal economy, but I was beginning to feel as though my reputation had taken a big jab.
Yeah.
Actually, my reputation in the eyes of people. And what hurt most of all was that these people were people who I thought knew me.
Yeah.
They would have served over the years, that would have been blessed by what I do. And I felt as though there was I felt like no one trusted what I was doing on the space. That
Mm-hmm.
my creativity went to zero.
Yeah.
After being in a space where I was writing and producing and helping and doing so much, I felt like it went to naught. And what did not help was that I had one of my very good friends, Samuel Medas,
Yes.
had won in the competition. His was worse. He had won the competition. It was social commentary. He was in the jumper. So he was in the full, like the party monarch. He was in
Yes.
that, and he won.
Wow.
And There
This
was
is in
nothing.
Barbados?
This in Guyana. This in Guyana. This in
Oh, in
Guyana.
Guyana. Oh, because I
But
was
people
like, yeah.
knew, and they loved. It was not a gospel record. It was no Jesus nothing. It was about we jumping up in the stadium celebrating. Right?
Right.
You can contextualize that however you want.
Whatever you want. Exactly.
People loved it. They knew, and I felt really broken because here is a guy who not only got involved, and not for first, he went back again. I think he came third or fourth. But here am I in this space. The context I am in is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as though persons extended grace to him, it only raised his profile and love among them. I lost something. Now, whether that is true or not, this is what I felt.
Yes,
And
understood.
those things threw me into a really, 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 really low space where
Yeah.
not just my economy, not just my reputation, but my own self-confidence,
Yeah.
image. I
Yeah.
began to question so many things about myself, about decisions I would have made. And it was a bad place. It was a really,
Yeah.
really bad place. 2024 came around.
Mm-hmm.
We're going again. We have received a word. One of the big criticisms would have been, but he's a pastor, he's on this stage, and he was singing a Jesus song, right? And in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm like, so you're not concerned about the things happening in the country?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Christians, we don't buy insurance, and we don't have mortgages, and we are not concerned about the cost of living, and we're
Yeah.
not concerned about the violence, and we're not concerned about different things. Like no, as a Christian, I have thoughts and concerns about these things too. I would lend my voice in a space that exists to do that creatively. I like to lend my voice to that. But that was also another thing that persons began to say, because this year now, I sang a song that was called The Ultimate Price.
Mm-hmm.
What is the price we are willing to pay for the progress we are making? So what is the price that our families have to pay? And what is the price that we have to pay for the morality of Barbados? Because it seems that more and more our morality is degenerating.
Yeah.
And what is the price of all of these loans and so on?
Mm.
But older people in our society have to work until 73. What is the ultimate price that we have to pay for the decisions that our leaders are making? Beautiful song. Beautiful song. I went back into the competition. I came 7th. True to form, same thing happened.
Yeah.
No, 3 years. John is a
In a
despot.
row. Yeah.
John Yarde is a healing.
Uh-huh.
But even the things that people say accelerate, and it's, again, I believe I have a word, and not just something I hear with the sky, something I've read that is written, and that when I spent my time reading and studying it, I felt convinced that this is what I am supposed to tell my community and build my community around, but also I am a part of the community. This is something I'm supporting. By the end of 2024, and we're still there, I remember saying to a friend, I am afraid that I have destroyed everything I've built.
Wow.
So this year is 14 years of music.
Of music. Wow.
14 years. And I said, I'm afraid I have destroyed everything.
Wow.
I have lost my integrity to the community that I served over the years. And I do not.
Wow.
I remember messaging a friend, Kiwana. She is another one of those friends from 2004, 20-year relationship friend. And I said to her, I feel like I have destroyed it all. I feel like I have lost it all. I feel so overwhelmed. Because people have the right to do what they want to do, who they put on their shows and stuff like that. But I just cannot shake. And again, this could be true or not, but this is what I feel.
Yes.
And I also establish those feelings based on the things I've seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
So she says to me, the truth is, John, and she's nothing that I was unaware of. She said, she has heard several conversations of persons who are in different sides of the table. Or she's heard both sides. Persons are justified in their thoughts. And I did feel a bit offended because it's like, what is it that we're doing if we think that we allow everybody else? I'm trying to justify, but then I'm like, no, people are entitled to think what they think, and you knew this coming in. I just didn't anticipate it would have been so difficult.
Yeah.
I thought I would have had more support from the community, and I did not think the cost of it was losing what I built. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't think that it would have impacted my personal economy with the way it did. Now, someone else even look at the situation and say, John, the country went through COVID. Everybody else took time to recover. The gossip community just haven't. Just hasn't.
Yeah.
You're still doing stuff within the
National stage.
national
Yeah.
stage. Da, da, da. So, someone like, if I sit back and think rationally about it, I can see other possibilities. But this
Mm-hmm.
is the one that's most glaring. This is the one that I feel the most.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much facts somebody else may say or how reasonable, this is the one that I have not been able to shake.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it messed with my creativity in a way. But interestingly enough, it has blessed me in a way as well too. So
Mm-hmm.
what I do is I don't know if to consider it a failure. Um I do feel as though having watched the influence take a big hit, it feels that way. You
Yes.
know what? It does feel like there are times where it feels like, did I just destroy everything I built?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't somebody did this. This isn't
Yeah.
somebody plot and connive. This
Yeah.
is your decision.
Yeah.
This is the fruit of your decisions.
Yeah.
So so there are times I look back and think, what if I didn't?
Mm-hmm.
Times I sit back and think about, what if I had just allowed that dream to stay a dream and mind my own business and let the Calypsonians let them do their thing and I do mine in my space. But
Yeah.
then I think about all of the conversations that take place that people don't know.
Right.
Then I think about people who are saved today in churches. I've sat down and have conversations. Some of them are over by me.
Mm-hmm.
And musicians are said Calypsonians. And I don't just mean attending church, I mean serving the Lord. When I think about the opportunities that have been created because of proximity to have conversations of national significance regarding culture and the church. I opened a conversation the other day that I really want to lend my voice to concerning the church and reparations and emancipation. And
Oh,
the banner of culture and my
yes.
logical experience as a pastor,
Yeah.
I feel a strong sense of opportunity and favor in these spaces because of the proximity I've had to the competition.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have received the phone calls from the people I've received the phone calls from to make the contributions, to be asked to make proposals by CEOs of different organizations,
Mm-hmm.
different organizations who make the decisions in these spaces. Those things would not have happened. I don't believe those things would have happened if I was not within this space.
Yeah.
That doesn't take away from it. But
Yeah.
when I think back about the how much more confident I am to go into spaces and to use my influence and to lend my voice in the conversations and to know that I am being heard not just because I have an opinion, but because people know who I am. Jonathan McReynolds sang a song once talking about a limp walking with me.
Yes. Yes.
And my limp is not being in the festival, being on the Pickety Crop stage. That's not, I don't regret that.
Yeah.
My limp is the scar of what people have said and not what persons have done and me taking that on. Yeah,
I
sure,
actually
go
have
for
a question around the community because the question that's in my head is when you talk about the community and and even how the community just kind of took a step back from you? Is it that you're talking about like the Christian community in general, or are you even talking about the community of people who are close to you?
Oh no, 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 no. This is the church.
Right.
The
Yes.
people
Yeah.
who are close to me know.
Yes.
Um, so my church, they know. It's like
Yes.
John been preaching this from day one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
My elders have had questions and we've had long conversations. And so they know. They
Mm,
know.
mm-hmm.
One, they didn't like it in the first year, but then they've listened. I've shared testimonies with they know. So they are with.
You've been hearing and reading all of these comments. Have you ever tried to kind of push back against it for your own reputation and for your own self and so forth? Never.
I've been tempted to. There was a time where when the media, when the Nation newspaper
Wrote that the
wrote that,
past.
I sat down and write a song. I was upset. I don't remember it, but I'll tell you what the concept was.
Uh-huh.
The concept was number two, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think second place, number two.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But two.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Oh God.
so I thought in my van, I wrote this little thing. That was my van. That was my
Yeah. So good.
brought me so much relief.
I can
I
imagine.
I was not something that was on the show. That I did not put that
Yeah.
anywhere in the public. That was just my
Yes.
little for myself. That was my.
Yes.
I will not say the things because I said there's some things that I hold dear to my heart. There's a principle that I've learned from my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
She taught me, John, you do not have to defend yourself when you are doing
Mm-hmm.
this. The Lord will vindicate his people.
What are some things that you are doing to kind of
So,
help you get through this period?
so I talk. I make time to talk about what I feel.
Yeah.
So I may not tell the story, but I will talk about what it is I'm feeling and how it's impacting me.
Mm-hmm.
I would see my therapist. I haven't seen him for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but I would therapist and we would talk through these things, comparison, talk through self-image,
Yeah.
even going back to some things that happened in childhood and framing them correctly
Yeah.
that build that sense of being that I know that I am a people pleaser. I
Mm.
bring people pleaser
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
I am concerned about what people think.
Mm-hmm.
If like while I can present as though it's water off of my back, it's not.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
may present as though I don't care
Yeah.
because I have to, for my own sanity, I'm not going to break down in front of a bunch of people. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm feeling it and the build up to its bliss there. And a part of it is that I want people to like what I do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like that also is at the heart of it. And so I had to learn not to be dependent on that. And so the space of therapy helps
Mm-hmm.
significant. I think I've also filled my time with other things. Like I said, I'm back in school. Doing my master's right now in counseling psychology, and I'm specializing in trauma crisis management. So I've filled my life with other things. My family has always been a strong point. My community, and there are other things that consume my time. One of the things about creativity that I am always reminded of, it's not gone.
Yeah.
I've had writer's block before and come out of it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's different, but the principle is still the same. The
Yeah.
creativity is still there.
Yeah.
I've had seasons where I've written a lot and sold or given away songs, and people would ask me, "Why did you do that? That's a banger. Why?" It's because I could do it again. Like
Yeah.
I do it again. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
I know its sources. I know the skill I have. It's not beyond me to create again. And
Yeah.
so it's just for me. Once I feel the urge and desire to, I know that I can. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
upward climb to come out of it. I'm in a lot better place. I'm in a lot better place now, and I do know that I can. I just don't feel the urge to.
John, is there any person that comes to mind when you think about, this period of time that you've been in that has been like instrumental in encouraging you that
Yeah.
has just really
Campbell,
helped? Kevin
Kevin Campbell,
Campbell.
Kevin Campbell.
Yeah. Tell me
He
more. Like
was
how has he been helping?
so Kevin Campbell from the very beginning. So he calls me Bev, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
From the Bev, we going for the stage, we going for it. And so when I told Kevin, I can do it. He was like, let me go, Bev, let me go. He was there with me sitting in my first year, and I think this was the year he was leaving Barbados.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know, but the year I was doing it, they gave me passes. I did not even want my wife back there with me. There's
Wow.
only one body that I wanted back there with me in that time because he knows the journey.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I believe that he's invested in the
Yeah.
journey, not just because I'm his guy, but because he's been praying and they've been praying about things like this for a while. So
Yes.
Campbell has been a big brother. I don't hear him as much now. You know,
Yeah.
life
Cause
changes.
yeah.
God, I'm
Yeah.
here. But when you do connect, it's like you never, you never lost contact.
Exactly. It was like, oh, we the
But he,
friends forever. Then we just what's been
if
going
it's
on? Yeah.
somebody who's going to tell me what he genuinely thinks, who's going to check in, it's Kevin Campbell. He's going to listen to the song. He's going to be listening to the other songs and like, Bev, yeah, Bev, you got a good chance singing. Or Bev, you got. So sure about this one, Bev. I'm so sure.
Yeah.
That's the and forget the music. I know Kevin is praying for me.
Yeah.
Of all things, I know Kevin is praying for me. He is a brother that I trust. So if somebody like Kevin were to say, nah, it's not.
You trust it.
Trust it. If my
Yeah.
dad says nah, it's nah. If ever sleep, no, it's no. If they get the blessing of these guys, there ain't nobody that I care what they say. Now, of course, I care what they
Of
say,
yes. But
but
you will go on because
the
there
people that I have the blessing of the people that really matter. And of
yeah.
course, you know,
Yes.
these
Yeah.
are men that I look up to in many regards as mentors, as fathers, as brothers, and their blessing means more to me than what anybody else says.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
reassurance I have.
Yeah. John, when you think about others who might be in a similar situation to you, because you're talking about artists who have to make decisions about like where they want their career to go and that type of stuff. They've got an audience that they've spent time building and working on and that type of stuff. Like what advice or what encouragement would you give to someone who's got to make a hard decision about what they want to do, but are also considering the impact that it may have on what they've created and built so far?
Well, and I think that this is a conversation, though we're talking about music, transcends music
Yeah.
and is applicable to the person who has spent the last 50 years in a career, somebody who might have been in a relationship that they ought not had to be in for so long. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the principles are what we're talking about transcends. But what I will say is something I heard Dario mention that has been resounding in my ears. And I would ask them this question: what are you willing to live for?
Mm.
The last 15 years of your life or what you have built over the years, you have come to a point where you're either dissatisfied or you believe that there is more. I think you have to find the answer to the question, what am I willing to live for? What is the thing that is going to fuel me and drive me, and give yourself to that? So for me, when I think about what it is I'm willing to live for, apart from my family, which is a big thing, but more importantly, I'm interested in living for the glory of God. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, my motivation for all of this has been a word,
Yeah. Yeah.
being in the way of the Lord. And so that's me. I'd say to that person that you need to figure out what is it you're willing to live for. Are you living for the applauses of men? Are you living for the fulfillment of purpose? Are you living for the catalog that you have built over the years, the reputation you've built over the years? Or are you living for the new possibilities and adventures that are ahead of you? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you answer that question, and I think you will find the answer, the counsel you really need. I'm careful to tell somebody, give them my advice or my story, But I think my presentation to them would be wrestle with this question. Wrestle with that question, and you may find purpose. You may find a sense of courage to take the step into whatever it is, whatever the discipline.
John, this was so good.
Every last second of it. I don't think I've never told, and there's still so much more I haven't said, but I've never said so much about this to anyone.
Well, thank you for trusting me to share it. John, thank you so much for telling us your story. Now, if you want to learn more about John and hear some of his music, check out our show notes for details. If you enjoy the podcast and want to support us, tell a friend or leave a review on your favorite podcast app. You can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Best Feels Podcast. Now, if you have your own Best Feels story that you would like to share, send us an email at info@mybestfeels.com. Have you had a similar experience to John? I would love to hear about it. What was your major takeaway from the experience? Write us a note or record a voice memo and send it to us at info@mybestfeels.com. And we just might play it on a future episode. If you are navigating or processing a failure and would like a safe space to reflect and explore what it means for you, visit our show notes to book some time with me. And remember, shame dies when stories are told in safe places. Until next time.